not my thing, but from here.
It's not Facebook Live or anything.
Oh, okay,
It's
good.
just recording.
Oh, okay.
Do they need the, lapel mic?
How do I turn it on?
Just
I'm on.
You on?
What are you gonna do? I'll be talking.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 9 registered, including me, so there's 8 in here.
I first of all want to get everybody's name.
Okay, hang on. Welcome, everyone. We have an incredible opportunity today to learn from 2 of the best in the business on agent etiquette. If you've taken any of my classes, you hear me talk over and over and over about how we communicate with each other, to each other, and that's more important in today's world more than ever, that we communicate well together. Welcome Rachel Bruner and Wendi Stott. Yay!
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Okay, I want to start off. I want to make sure I know everybody's name. I know Latoya. Okay, and Anita. Chrissy Seals. What's your name? Angel. Ed. Karen. All right. Oh, are we sitting?
Oh, you can see.
That's okay.
I'm making this very fast today.
I'm the pointer girl. And Shirley. Shirley, she wasn't going to miss this, right?
Is that your pen?
That's my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rachel and I just wanted to go over some things with you all. The 17 rules of real estate etiquette. I'm sure there's probably even more than 17, but these are 17 that we've kind of put together that we wanted to talk about.
Before we get started, I know we've already gone through with names. I just want a little bit of background on how long everybody's been in real estate, just so we know how deep we have to dive into any of this. So I know Shirley's been in a year, and Latoya's
A year.
been a year, and then Ada, you've been in a few years. Almost. Oh,
Are you feeling better?
okay,
Good. Good.
Okay. And then Chrissy, you've been. About 4.5 years. Okay, I thought so. And then yes, we know you. And then Angel, is that right? How long have you been? Fantastic.
Fantastic. Congratulations to you.
Yeah.
Now, what did you do before real estate?
I'm currently doing deliveries, but before I got burned out, I was in insurance for 20 years.
Okay, fantastic. So you've got a good database through that. Fantastic.
Tell me. And what was your name again?
Ed.
Ed, got it.
I was in real estate in California, and then I
Oh,
just
great.
started
What part of California?
Southern California, Newport Beach.
Okay, got it. I've been there. Okay.
And weren't you also in vehicle sales?
Oh, yeah, I own dealerships for 25 years.
That's right. Yeah, he owned dealerships,
That's
car
amazing.
dealerships.
Amazing. Okay.
I got burned out. 2 heart attacks and
Oh,
coming out of all
That is a little bit more than burnout.
stuff. Yeah, I left it, and that's over, and I got it.
love it. Well, we're glad you're doing this.
And Ed, and who's
This is my other half, Karen.
Karen.
We look good.
And Karen, you're licensed too? Y'all doing this together? You're just here. Okay, you're just here. Okay. Hey,
Okay.
Betsy. Okay, so we're talking about communication like Wendi said, but before we get into real estate etiquette, I mean, I think we all know how important communication is, and I'm not even talking real estate. I'm just talking about life in general. So, I mean, we know how important communication is with our significant others, our partners, our kids, our business partners, our friends. I mean, every relationship you have, communication is important. So I come from a nursing background, so communication is uber important, I guess, in the healthcare world. I mean, so I was an ER nurse, so constantly I was explaining procedures before I put an NG tube down your nose and an IV and all the things. So you have to be very clear with your communication and explain to people the pros of this, the cons of this. People want options, right? I mean, people don't want to be told what to do, you know? They want to know what their choices are so that they can, so from a healthcare world, so they can make an informed consent. Do I do this? Do I not do this? Okay, what's the pros and cons of this? So that's how I have always approached real estate. So I don't look at myself as a salesperson. I've never been in sales except for retail in college. I did retail for a little bit. But other than that, I mean, I look at this as I'm an advisor here. It is my job to tell you all the choices you have from my perspective, and then it's your choice to make that decision, you know? So just to kind of get us into communication, just wanted to kind of tell you how I kind of approach this with my clients and my
Right.
background. Wendi comes from banking.
I was in banking for 13 years, and when you're dealing with people's money, of course, they do definitely want to be communicated with and give them their options as far as investments, CDs, what that looks like. So I had a whole family background of banking. My father was a president of one of the largest banks in Chattanooga. My mother was in banking. My brother ran, branches throughout Chattanooga. I ran a couple of branches. So we always had to communicate with all of our clients and very detailed information of what's going on with their money, what this means, what this fee means. How can they save from getting this fee with this kind of account or that kind of account? So I've done a lot of that. I actually got a degree in communications and English. So that's kind of where my background is.
So even though this class is called, what we've called it, real estate etiquette, and if y'all have not met us or if you've not met our assistant, our fantastic assistant that keeps the train on the tracks, she came up with this title, and it is etiquette. I mean, we could call it that, but really we just wanted to kind of talk about best practices, what you should be doing. And I'm not saying that we all get it right 100% of the time. There's a lot of times, like I'm probably the worst at feedback, and we're going to talk about feedback on showings, but I admit that, and I will be happy to respond to your text, but not always am I good when the automated email comes across. So just know, none of us are perfect at this job, and we all fall short. But so I want this to be very interactive. We are very casual. We do not know everything. We will share with you what we know. I've been doing this 19 years. Wendy's
I'm
been
on my 21st year.
Yeah, so we've been doing it a while. We have both been on teams. We have been solo agents. Well, Wendi was a solo, then went to a team, and then back to solo. I am not from here. I'm from Middle Tennessee, so when I moved here, I knew nobody. And so I met a lady in real estate when I was in real estate school and joined her team and was there for like 13 years and then went solo. So we can talk about anything and everything that y'all want to talk about. We'll kind of go through communication and kind of how we do things. And of course, everything we do, we have not created it. We have not reinvented the wheel, I should say. We've found it from some other agent we've worked with, like, oh my gosh, we loved how he or she did that. And we do a lot of masterminds and conferences and things like that, which I'm sure y'all do too. And we'll just pick up things from other people and we'll tweak it to make it ours, which is
And we
fine.
even do things a little differently because Rachel and I do work differently.
Oh yes, we all work differently.
I mean, we are Bruner Stott realtors, but we are individual agents as well.
Yes, we do function as solo agents, even though we're a business partnership, and we can explain that if you have questions. So just throw your hand up if you've got, or just say something. So don't feel like you're interrupting anything.
So we'll start off. What is real estate etiquette? Well, toward agents, real estate etiquette toward other agents is essential for maintaining professionalism. That is a huge word because we are professionals and we need to act as professionals toward each other, toward our clients, toward friends. Fostering a very positive working relationship in the industry. So it is super important that we keep other people's energy level up, especially when they're making their biggest purchase. I mean, we're guiding families with huge decisions on purchasing their home to raise their family. Toward clients. So real estate etiquette toward your clients is crucial for building trust, maintaining professionalism, there's that word again, and ensuring a positive experience for both you and your clients.
Go ahead, Ed.
Question on agent etiquette.
Yes.
I'm working a very complicated deal with a lot of time, straight 6 years ago, where we're doing this. These people were not calling me back.
We're hearing that a lot from Robin right now.
And, yeah, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, some of them are here.
Yeah,
I have to track them down.
I don't have an answer to that.
I mean, this is what, when I
Yeah.
get this business, it's just insane.
Yeah,
When you talk to people who want to buy your property and you're not calling me back,
Yeah.
you're not calling me back.
I think, sorry.
Go ahead. I mean, I've experienced that sometimes as well. And I will first, I will leave a voicemail. I will go back to them and say, listen, I've texted them. I've left a voicemail. It is crucial that we contact each other. Please give me a call. if I still can't get them to respond to my text, I'm going to shoot another text. Or, I mean, heck, if you have to, you may just have to go to their office or find them if they're in this office.
You know, my business was something happened, I was the next level. I mean, please, I go right to the source. Do I go to the broker that represents
At
that
some point
person?
you do.
Mhm.
Yes, at some point
I
you do.
mean, they're just gonna, but they're just gonna get pissed off. I mean,
Not
no,
necessarily, I mean, you can't, I mean,
Is it?
not
Because you're
necessarily,
going over their head?
it depends on how you do it, but I would say, and I know Robin's mentioned this to us, I do think there's a real lack of training in our industry, not just in our company, I'm talking about just I mean, you go through an online course or a 30-day in-person or whatever, and then you're just out to the wolves. I mean, you know, I was very fortunate because I connected with a very established realtor and just mentored under her for 13 years basically. But there would have been no way, and even in retail, when I worked retail in college, there would have been no way that I would have kept that job if I did not have the communication skills that my boss, you know, expected out of me. We don't really have bosses. I mean, you know, when we have leadership and a broker and all of that, but nobody is telling you how to run your business, you know, and nobody's training you or teaching you on how to have communication or how to connect with each other, you know, respectfully, professionally. And if you've never had that in another career, like you came from the car industry, a lot of us have come from other industries. I mean, I look like Toya, you're from banking, right? So if you have not come from a career where you were like a public servant or you were customer service oriented, then I think it's very challenging to work with those type of people, and we're going to have those in this industry that have not had that type of background, right? I mean, you know, so there are very few times where I have to call a broker because I can't get communication from the other agent. But if you've tried everything, you've left multiple voice messages. Okay, so if you've left, you know, I think for me, and I'll speak for me, I am busy just like all of you are, busy with my professional world, busy with my personal world. If you text me, that is going to be the quickest way to get me. Now, sometimes I can respond within seconds. Other times, if I'm an appointment, it might be an hour or two, but you will hear from me on a text message. Yeah, that day, yes. Because I will, by the end of the day, if it's been like a crazy day, 8 o'clock, I'm sitting out on my deck at home, I will go back through and make sure, did I respond to everybody? Or did I respond to you, Ed, and say, hey, Ed, got your message. Call you later or text you later. Then I'm going back through to remind myself, oh crap, you know, Ed texted me at 8:30 and I just gave him a thumbs up and forgot to follow back up with him. So you have to put those measures in place. But what I would say to your question is text multiple times, no response. I would call, leave voicemails. I would email as well, because there are those agents that just like email. But after a few days of that, especially if you've got a time response that's really tight, then yes, you absolutely call their broker. And this is how I would handle it.
That agent is not doing their client any service by not responding. So at that point, you probably do need to speak with a broker.
But maybe come from the perspective of, hey, you know, I'm not trying to get Winnie in trouble. You know, Winnie and I have a deal going. I haven't heard from her in 3 days. It's unlike Winnie. Is she okay? Like, I'm just calling to make sure that Winnie's not like in the hospital, out of the country, her dad just died. I mean, like, whatever. So come from it from not that mindset before you're just like, I can't get a hold of Winnie. I can't believe that she's doing this to me. You know, just watch how you handle your situations. You are totally in control of the way you handle a situation and your responses. You know, and I'm sure we all get frustrated. We can go back to the count to 10, take a breath, but maybe just think about, maybe there's something going on that you don't know about, you know, and they just haven't been able to communicate with you, you know. So come from it from that approach first, and I think you'll do a lot better. Because even if Winnie calls you back and says, Ed, I can't believe you called my broker, you can say, Winnie, I've had a great experience with you so far, but you went 3 days without calling me. We've got a time response that we've got to adhere to, and I kind of thought maybe something had happened, or maybe you're out of the country. Not at all trying to tattletale on you. I was worried. I was concerned, you know. So that's what I would
Come
do.
from a positive energy. Mm-hmm.
What do you do when the agent is the broker? You finally got in touch with the agent/broker, and
if you can't,
and it took a whole week before we even heard back from her. Then after that week, she went MIA another 7 days.
okay. you know, like our office, we have multiple brokers. If there's another broker at that office.
Or
that would-
maybe they've got a team leader, somebody you can reach out to.
Okay, so then what I would do is get your broker involved. So I would talk to Jennifer and I would say, hey, listen, this is where I'm at with this situation. You know, she is the agent on the other end. She is also the broker. There's no one else in that office that I can communicate with. She doesn't have a team. She doesn't have a co-broker or anything like that. Can you step in and facilitate communication for me? That's what I would do. Yeah.
This is good. Anybody else? No? I can't see this. Okay, so yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not really sure where we got these rules, but we'll go through them. Rule 1, communicate clearly and consistently.
Which we just discussed.
Yeah, poor communication can often lead to increased stress and confusion, which is what we're talking about. Be both clear and consistent throughout every interaction. That includes speaking with your co-op agents, your lender, your title companies, your vendors, etc. I mean, what y'all have to understand is no one is at a higher position than anyone involved. Like, we are all on the same playing field.
Right.
You have to understand that we are all have the same common goal, right? I mean, we have a client, either a buyer or seller, investor, whatever, whoever we're working with, we are all trying to get them to closing, right? So there's no reason to be arrogant, cocky, I know more than you do, I've been in this business longer than you have, blah, 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 whatever chip you got on your shoulder or whatever bad attitude you're bringing to the situation. We don't need any of that, you know. It's not going to help facilitate the situation for your client. Your client is who you're representing. They have chosen you out of 2,500 other realtors in town to represent their best interests, to advise them the best that you can based off the knowledge you have, and to get them to the closing table with the least amount of issues, right? This needs to be a very smooth transaction, okay? So
That includes all of the other people, because we've got so many people involved in each transaction. So, I mean, let's say that you've got a home inspector. You don't really care about his report, you know. There are home inspectors out there, they do the best that they can, but to bash what they're doing, you know, oh, the deal killer people, or, you know, I would seek first to understand what they put on the report, maybe even have a conversation with them and your client. As far as home inspections go, the title people that we have to deal with, everybody's got their own jobs that they have to do. So the most positive way that you can interact with all of these people, it's going to only help the client and you, because nobody wants to be in a turmoil through a 30-day transaction or a 45-day transaction. So the more that you can keep it positive and communicate with all of the folks, then the better you're going to be.
And you'll also find that everybody's at a different level.
They
I mean,
are.
there are, and I appreciate when an agent says to me, hey, this is the first offer I've ever written. That's fine. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job, but I promise you I will help you along the way, because again, I want you getting us to the closing table.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I have to do your job for you, I will do it, because I have my client, I want to make sure that there are no big issues. I want to make sure that, for example, and I have seen this with agents and I can't stand it, but let's say you're a new agent. You write up the closing cost incorrectly. You write in the offer that the seller's to pay 3% of closing costs. Okay, well, if you take that literally, 3% of closing costs, let's say closing costs are $10,000, you know, 3% is going to be, $300 or whatever that is. So that you wrote it wrong, okay? I'm going to call you out on that, because I'm sure that's not what you meant. I'm going to say you probably meant 3% of sales price toward closing cost, okay? Because what I don't want to happen is that we get to closing, the settlement statement comes out, you see that, oh my gosh, they're only paying $300 of my buyer's closing costs. They're supposed to be paying $3,000 or whatever that is. We have an issue, right? We have an issue that we probably can't get through in a 24-hour period to get us to the closing table on time. Your
But you
client's
could've
packed,
stopped it
my
long
client's
before.
packed, you know, which if I as a good agent, and if I had my client's best interest at heart, I would have called you out on that at first, because I don't want an issue 24 hours before we go to closing. Nobody does. I don't want my client stressed. I don't want you stressed, your client stressed. That's just not good business. It's not.
Right.
So we have to get out of this mindset of we're all at it for, it's almost like it's about me. It's not about our clients.
It's about,
guys,
yeah.
this is about taking care of other people. That's what we're all here to do. Not in just real
Including
estate,
each other.
but in life. We are here to help each other, okay? Not do it for each other, you know.
And I'll elaborate on something else. Let's say that you've got a contract, right, and you've got a 7-day inspection period, and you haven't heard anything about inspection, and you know that they're wanting to do the inspection, why would you wait till day 8 to say, oh, you know what, you're screwed, you know what, as is. Be that person that steps up, and I always communicate at first, you know, who are you using for inspections? Who do you like? And then, you know, when do you think you're going to get the inspection? If I've gone 2 or 3 days in a 7-day inspection period, no one's asked for an inspection, I'm going to reach out to that agent again. Hey, guess what? We haven't got an inspection yet. You're on day 3 or day 4. I mean, just do that common courtesy to that other agent. They may not understand, you know, oh, I can't wait till day 7. You know, they can, but it's not going to benefit everybody. So, you know, be that one that reaches out if you see that there's any kind of an issue that could come up, and help each other, you know?
But you are certain, but let's just be realistic. You are going to find that there are those agents that don't. The other agent isn't here to babysit you. They're not. I mean, hopefully they're here to help you because they do have a common goal, but they're not here to babysit you. I learned this probably on 3 transactions 19 years ago when I missed an inspection period. I sent the repair proposal over the day after. The agent I was working with, super nice agent. She's passed away now, but she was one of the agents that I looked up to in this industry. And she called me out on it. She was like, Rachel, I'm sorry. She's like, you missed it by a day, you know? So that was on me, you know? So I paid for that repair out of my commission at closing. And I promise you, I've never done that again. So, you know, there are some hard lessons that sometimes we just all have to deal with. There are, you know, that's the reason we have timelines and response deadlines and things like that. You know, it is the way it is. So when you mess up, you admit that you messed up. I told my clients I messed it up, but I already had an estimate for repairs. It was like $500 something. I paid for it at closing. It came out of my commission and everybody was happy, you know. But again, so don't expect the other agent to babysit you, especially if you're new, but it's okay to admit that you're new and that you've not dealt with this before. Again, use your broker.
Ask questions.
Ask Robin, ask Jennifer. If there's something, ask us. I mean, you know, that's one thing that I really wish we had in this industry. I wish we had a better mentor shadow type program that you were, I don't know if it's required is the right word, but that you were encouraged to go through and you actually worked with a realtor who's out in the field doing this day in, day out. You know, Robin is fantastic and she knows her stuff, but she's not out every day like we are. You know, I'm not going to be the best teacher for y'all either because I'm just not. But I can tell you how it is to be out there doing it day in, day out. Go ahead, Ed.
Maybe find somebody that you want to shadow, and literally like Rachel did. I didn't do this because I didn't start right on a team, but maybe just ride, just listen. If you just go and listen to them do their scripts, listen to them the way that but you need to find someone that is doing it professionally. And, you know, just be a shadow. There's a lot of agents that will be happy for you to ride in the car with them.
Ed.
From my background, if you come in and you say you're new, they're gonna take advantage of what you're doing.
I don't.
Not
I mean,
in-
I can't speak. I can't speak.
I'm not in realtor.
I can't speak.
This be my lucky time.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that just aren't friendly to people.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to help you with your negotiations. But if you tell me you're new,
You're gonna try to get as much advantage.
If you say, I mean,
yeah, no. It's
yeah,
good.
and if you don't understand something on a contract, I mean, I would ask the other agent to make sure that we clearly understand what it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah. But just because you're new, Ed, that doesn't mean that your client's inexperienced. I mean, maybe you're a new agent, but your client could be a very savvy investor. And you're not the one deciding what price you want to offer, or what price they want to offer, or what closing cost. You know, you're not deciding the terms for
Right.
them. You might have some part in advising them, but just because you're new doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to encourage you to offer this price or do this term or bend here or bend there. Because I'm assuming you have a good broker. And I'm assuming that if you don't have a team that you're on, or you don't have somebody that you're mentoring under, that you're gonna go to Robin and you're gonna be like, listen, this is the first contract I've ever done. You're in her Ignite class or whatever. Exactly. So just
Yeah,
because
I
you're
mean,
new
ask the
doesn't mean that
questions.
you don't have, you know, really
you-
great leverage
Yeah.
underneath you that, or support system that you can go to and ask questions. Robin could if Robin felt that I was taking advantage of you, I promise Robin would be on the phone with me going like, listen, you know, right, Robin, would you not? I mean, if you saw something like that going on, I mean, yeah.
So I'm doing what you suggest. My mentor happens to be my next door neighbor.
Oh, fantastic. Who is it?
Who?
Oh, yeah. I know
Oh,
Kim.
okay.
I know Kim well.
That's why,
Yeah,
the first lady I came out,
yeah,
Well, Kim's gonna be straight up,
Yeah.
so.
I love, we really connect.
yeah,
And Karen and I really connect.
Yeah.
She's gonna be going with me to some of these, and, I mean, we've had two major listing, appointments on land yesterday. They're in the process of writing them up. I just wanna make sure. So Kim's gonna, between Kim.
absolutely.
I really love the support, because I never
Yeah.
had a lawsuit in my life.
Right.
Our business, I always did the right, I
Mhm.
love this place, because you do the right thing.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The next right
Well, I think,
And if you don't know, don't fake it, just
Yeah.
ask.
yeah,
Yeah,
thing. That, and I was 20, and faked it,
yeah,
called me on it.
because it could lead into big trouble.
yeah.
There's
Well-
enough agents in this office that are, would raise their hand to
Yeah,
help
and-
any
and-
new agent.
Go to your ALC members. Your ALC members
Yes.
should absolutely be answering the phone and helping you. I mean, that's our board, that's our leadership. We are on ALC.
We're on the
yes,
ALC.
Yes. But like Winnie spent a lot of time with us when she was new.
Winnie was
We
in
would
our
have- we
office
would
a
have
lot.
taken, we would have taken a call from Winnie at midnight if she had called and said, hey, I don't know how to write up the stipulation, or I don't know how I should advise my client here, or hey, can you help me with comps on this because it's a unicorn, So you have agents in this office, and if you have another agent on the other side who's bulldog or just kind of like that, you can just say, hey, I've got Rachel Bruner helping me with this, or I've got Winnie helping me
Right.
with this, or I've got Robin helping me
Find
with this.
somebody. That you click
Yeah.
with, like Kim. I mean, that's fantastic. And Kim's always willing to
Kim's
help
great.
people.
Yeah, okay. You're welcome. Where are we? Always be
Oh,
honest.
being honest. Oh, this is a great one. So, like I said, part of your honesty, if you don't know it, don't fake it, right? Find out from someone how to do what you're doing. But creating a circle of trust between you and your clients and colleagues is crucial to your overall success as an agent. Dishonesty and ruining your dependability can harm your career in this industry. So the worst thing that you can do, even as you're a new agent or a seasoned agent, is once you get a bad rep, then let's face it, guys. Our agent to agent relationship, that's your client just as much as your seller or your buyer. If I am sitting here and I've got a listing or whatever, and someone wants, I'm gonna give it to Rachel, or I'm gonna find someone, and especially when we were in the market where you had all these multiple offers, if you've got a bad reputation out there and you're up against 4 or 5 different agents on one house, you may not get that offer accepted just because of your dishonesty and your reputation. And I've had agents call me in multiple offer situations and be like, okay, Wendi, back to number 1, communication. We've got 4 offers here. We really want to work with you. So, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? So the communication and your reputation with agents is key.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add there. I mean, I think that's a pretty clear point, but I would just say, don't be that agent who says, oh, I've got an offer coming in, or, oh,
And they're like, oh, great. I don't want
Yeah.
to work with Rachel.
Don't fudge the truth, because it can bite you in the butt. You telling somebody that you've got an offer coming in, they might go back to their buyer and say, hey, they've got an offer coming in. That buyer might be like, you know what? I don't want to be in a multiple offer situation. I don't want to be competitive.
And they run.
Then you don't have that offer coming in that you told about, and now you could have had an offer, a legit offer coming in, but now you just ruined that opportunity because you kind of fudged the truth. So
Saying, don't tell me you have an offer too, you have the offer.
exactly.
You don't have an
Exactly.
offer until
Because-
you've got a
because-
piece of paper in hand.
And I'm not going to say that buyer agents or agents in general lie. I very well could take a buyer out to a property. They love it. I mean, we've talked about it after they've left. They're like, oh, we're going to write an offer, blah, blah, blah. A couple hours goes by. Hadn't heard anything from them. Next morning I'm calling like, hey guys, what are you thinking? Change their mind. And what did I do in the meantime? I called you and I said, hey Ed, I'm bringing you an offer. So I used to do that, but now I will just on feedback say that my client is seriously considering the property, and we are
Yep.
discussing comps and any other questions they have, and we'll be in touch. Please let me know if you do get an offer, because I would like to let my client know, just so that as a seller's agent, you want more offers. So why
Right.
would you not tell me if you know my buyer is interested, right?
Right.
that's benefiting your seller client. So anyways, yes, be honest. Do not fudge the truth, okay, on all things. Disclosures, everything. If you know something about a property, your client did not disclose it on their disclosure, you have to disclose.
Yep.
Okay, so, okay. All right, moving on. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so number 3, don't prejudge agents.
No.
Don't let other agents' opinions of other agents influence the way you treat them. We are all in this together. So we all have different personalities. I couldn't tell you the number of agents that I've talked to that are like, oh, I don't like working with so-and-so, or have you ever worked with so-and-so?
It's best not to do that
Just
at
because
all. No.
Wendy might have not had the best relationship with Winnie doesn't mean that I'm not going to have a good relationship with Winnie, okay? So you cannot judge agents based on another agent's opinion. That's just like people in general. I'm not going to base my opinion on Shirley because Ed might have something to say about Shirley. You know, I'm going to base my opinion on Shirley about how our interaction goes, right?
Right.
So don't
And that goes with your clients too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you meet someone, do not assume. And one lesson I learned, it was so funny. It was back when I was in banking. This guy, and I was new at this branch, and this guy walked in, and I mean, he was rough. Turned out, guess what? He had a chicken farm, and he had multi-million dollars in our bank. But so you can't judge clients and other people before you know. You know, I mean, it's the old saying that we all grew up with. It's the same thing with agents, like Rachel was saying. Just because you've heard something from someone else, don't let the bad egg spoil it for everybody else.
Right. And the other thing I would say is, you know, if your communication starts out kind of, not hostile, but just kind of like not pleasant, okay? Let's just say the other agent brings an attitude, is unkind. I would just encourage you to just think about everybody's got crap going on. They do, guys.
It may have just
we
been a
we
bad
bring it
day.
all. Sometimes we're not good about leaving that at the door when we walk in the office, or not leaving that, or it comes into the conversation on the phone or whatever. Maybe, you know, who knows what happened to them that morning. So I would just advise you all just to take a breath and just to, you know, be compassionate, you know, be understanding, and just you are here to kind of de-escalate. You know, this is a very emotional roller coaster for everyone involved. As agents, we do not need to get so emotionally involved. We need to be the voice of reason. We need to be rational. Our clients need to come to us so that we can calm them down, explain to them that it's not as big a deal as they think it is, because a lot of people are going to blow things out of proportion that are not meant to be blown out of proportion. So again, just think, I am the voice of reason. I am here to de-escalate, because a lot of times agent emotions can get
Yeah.
involved and can kill a deal.
All you
okay?
have to do is back to number 1, communication. Explain, like say that you've got you feel like it's a great offer, and I presented it to Rachel on one of her listings, and you know, it gets rejected, which Rachel probably wouldn't let that happen. She would at least counter. But let's say it gets rejected. Don't get all upset, but just kind of go back and explain, okay, like, Winnie, why did your people, you know, what can we change instead of getting hostile? Because I've had agents come at me, especially in a multiple offer situation, like, oh my gosh, there's no way that you accepted a better offer. Our offer was fantastic. You know, what is the problem? There may have been something in there, but if you explain to the other agent why they accepted this, or why, you know, that's just an example. But I think communicating with each other instead of being hostile, just because you're ticked off that they didn't get accepted, or whatever the situation, they came back with 15,000 things on their repair report, you know, just try to seek to first understand and figure out where that person's coming from.
Okay, so rule four, this kind of goes with rule 3, don't
Right.
trash talk. If people see you're willing to snark behind your clients' colleagues' backs, why would they want to do business with you?
Right.
So, I mean, that's just being professional. Y'all, we are professionals here, okay? So we don't need to be talking about each other. I don't care if it's something you know to be fact. We just don't need to be doing that.
Just keep it to
And
yourself.
we definitely don't need to be doing that on social media,
Oh.
okay?
Okay, that's a whole nother topic.
And, yeah, and we can get into social media in a minute. But if you're going to choose to have an account on social media, and your personal account is any bit tied into what you do as a profession, you
You've
have
got to
to
have that image.
understand how how important what you put out there is to your colleagues, other realtors, your clients. All of these people are seeing all of this. You know, I know we all
Their
have,
comments.
have opinions on things. Great, you know, but we don't. You just have to be very mindful of what you say and what you do.
Like,
okay?
for instance, let's say that you see something, an agent says something smart in a comment, and then next thing you know, you see 15 other comments, and then it just starts rolling. I mean, the ball gets bigger and bigger. I would just stay out of it. You know, shame on that person for making some smart aleck negative comment about someone or a situation, or, you know, it's best just to not even comment at all. Just stay out of it.
And also, go ahead. No, Anita, go ahead.
Oh, yes.
And then I also think it is.
Or just not say anything at all.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think some of us think that our closed Facebook group is a safe place. You know, again, things can be screenshot. You know, things, you don't need to be trash talking or a situation just because it's a closed Facebook group. Again, we still need a level of professionalism and respect in that group as well. So yeah. I mean, to me, it's common sense. I mean, you guys, you know, so just use your best judgment.
Everybody's got an opinion, but not everybody wants to hear it. I mean, there you go. Okay, number 5, a bit of kindness goes a long way. This industry is built on personal interactions. Therefore, respect and kindness are very important. Be respectful and avoid preventable drama. Drama, we hate that. To ensure everything progresses as efficiently as possible. Oh my goodness, we could talk about drama forever. I see drama, I go the other way. I mean, I leave skid marks as fast as I can to get away from drama.
Well, I'm going to talk about kindness. I mean, which is what this role is about. I mean, guys, you will find in life in general, right? I mean, you're going to get a lot further in life just by being kind to people.
Just smile.
And just initiate the kindness. For example, you know, now that we've got concessions and all the things that, you know, have changed recently, we have created a form, and we've got all that somewhere. Oh, maybe it's right there. Anyways, and we'll send this out. But when as a listing agent, and I do both sides, so I'm not just a listing agent, but as a listing agent, I've got a new listing that came on the market in Ringgold. Now that all of this has changed since the 17th, you know, I want to initiate the conversation with that buyer's agent. So I have reached out to those buyer's agents. I confirmed the appointment. I'm a big on audio text. So I sent an audio text, kind of introduced myself, told her I was so happy that she was showing the client, you know, the house to her client. If she needed anything to call me, gave her a little bit of background on the house. It's an estate situation. This is my client's late aunt and uncle. We don't have a lot of information on ages, things like that. Just kind of gave her a briefing of kind of like what she was walking into. Okay.
That helps your client too,
also
by the way.
went ahead and said it's a buyer-friendly situation, meaning that we are offering a 2.5% buyer's concession. You know, so we've got a form. It's on a Bitly. Francesca created it for us. It's got all of our active listings and what the concession is being offered. And so we sent that out to her as well. She was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you reaching out. So from the get-go, even if she doesn't bring me an offer, she now has associated me with, wow, I mean, that was great communication. She went above and beyond. I've not even shown the house yet, and she's already reaching out, telling me about the house, thanking me for showing it, telling me what what concessions being offered, all of that. I mean, so if you guys will start out on a good foot with a lot of these agents, you'll get a lot further.
Yeah,
you
it's
will.
hard to muddy
Because
the water at that point.
There is going to be a time that probably some hurdle comes up, okay, in your transaction. And if you have been, you know, on a good foot with this agent from the get-go, it's going to be a lot easier for y'all to
have that hard
work through
conversation
that,
if you have to.
as opposed to have not having, you know, trying to connect with that agent. Because again, these co-op agents, like Wendi said, they are just as important as your client.
They are.
Yes, you are representing two different parties, but again, we all have a common goal, okay? And again,
You're going to be working with that person again.
yes, you will.
So,
This is a small town.
It is a
So-
small town, and that person may know someone that you don't know that knows you. And, you know, the stink starts coming out. I mean, but I'm like Rachel. Anytime that I get a text through Broker Bay that someone's going to show one of my listings, I always reach out first. Because not all the knowledge that we can put on the MLS, there may be some things that the seller's willing to disclose, like the one I've got on Hunter Valley. I know that the carpet down there is horrible. It's got paint all over it, everything else. The picture doesn't really show. The photographer got the room without really just focusing on the carpet. So I'm not going to have that agent walk in and be like, oh, wow, we never saw this. I'm going to let them know about things up front, and just communicate with them because, the more that they know when they go into it, the better it's going to be for that client to get their house sold.
I mean, y'all just have to think about how do you want to be treated?
Right.
Okay, like if you were showing a house, what kind, would you not appreciate the listing agent reaching out to you, the listing agent sharing anything about the property that maybe is pertinent for you and your client to know? All of those things you would gladly,
want to know up front.
Yes. So on the flip side of things, when you are the listing agent, you do those things, right? You reach out, you do those things. You treat others like you want to be treated, right? I mean, it's the golden rule, So just kindness and just, I hear from agents that, just like Ed was saying, people aren't calling people back. People aren't texting people back. Again, let's take a break and let's just make sure there's nothing going on with the agent. But outside of that, you want to do all the things that will help facilitate the transaction, okay? I had an agent yesterday on a property. I bet she sent me 8 text messages last night, just different questions that her buyer had. And of course she was like, I hope I'm not, I'm sorry to annoy you. I'm like, you're not annoying me. If your client is interested in my property, I will make sure we get the information back to you, because again, it's my job to sell that property for my client, So again, just be kind, be thoughtful, be considerate. Think of yourself on the other side of the transaction. Some of us get so focused on, I'm a listing agent, so you're not very kind to your buyer's agents, or I'm a buyer's agent, so I kind of have a chip on my shoulder toward the listing agents. I don't know why that is. But I do see it, every day. So just, again, be kind. We all have a common goal here.
And I'm going to flip that around, too. That's not just showings. In this office, if you are interacting in this office, you're in the kitchen or the hallway or something, and you see someone struggling or frustrated, you know what? Maybe just smile at them. Ask, look, you look a little frustrated. Is there something I can do to help? Reach out to those people instead of, yes, we're all busy. I may see Ed and he's like head down and maybe looks like he's frustrated trying to figure something out on the computer or whatever. I could so just easily just keep walking. I don't have time for Ed. I'm going on to my own office, Good luck, Ed. Don't be that way. If you see someone in this office that may be having a bad day or struggling or maybe just needs a smile or some encouragement, be that person. Okay, try to work out differences before involving others. Okay, well, there you go, Ed, with your phone call. Try to go ahead and figure out how you can get in touch with this person. Maybe even if if they're not in this office, they're in another office, maybe you just visit that office and say, hey, look, I happen to be close. I wanted to stop by and see, did you happen to get this? Just whatever you can do. Agents should talk to the opposing agent directly in a disagreeable situation before involving other agents, brokers, or boards. So I do think that it's best to go to the source first and seek to understand. Always seek to understand before you get your feathers in a ruffle and then just be like, by God, I'm doing this, that's just common.
I would also say that, your client is paying you to handle what can come up in a situation, right? I'm not saying that you don't tell your client every little thing that comes up, but if it's something that you can handle and you can smooth it out before you ever have to involve your client, do it.
Absolutely.
Okay? We've had situations where lender doesn't do their job, and 48 hours before closing, lender is telling me that this is falling through, even though I just checked with her a couple days ago, and for some reason everything was good a couple days ago, but now it's not. Finding out what actually was going on there, reaching out, have good resources, reaching out to a couple other lenders who are my go-tos explaining the situation, getting them involved, finding out that there's another
Find a
option that they
solution.
have, so that when I go back to my seller and say, hey, listen, I don't have the best news to just, to share, but let me tell you where we are. Let me tell you let me tell you what our options are, okay?
Always find those options
Have-
first or
yeah.
a solution.
Yes, don't just come to your client and be like, hey, this has happened.
Hate
you know?
it, nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah. So, be a problem solver, and sometimes it's not just you that can solve that problem. You've got to have those great relationships with lenders, with inspectors, with appraisers, with whoever. So make sure that you're going to bat and that you're doing all that you can for this client before you get this client involved in the situation. I mean,
Right.
they're my last call. I'm not saying that I go days without telling my client something's going on, but they are my last call because I'm like, what can I do to fix this or to give them another option before this whole thing just dies,
But it's also important to communicate with that other agent of what's
yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
because that other agent may even have a resource that you don't. So that communication with that other agent, don't go 4 or 5 days and not let the other agent know, that you may not get to closing because of this reason. Don't hide from a problem. Hit it head on and be
Yeah.
totally honest. This is what's happened. Find a resource, find a solution, and then, let all the parties know.
Yeah. And again, you have to understand that not all your agents have great resources. So in this particular case with this lender, it was a very new agent. I think this was her first contract. She didn't know of anybody else, So it wasn't my job to fix this problem, but it was my job because I'm trying to get everybody to the closing table, okay? Just like in a situation where maybe we need a survey. Maybe I've got a vendor that can get out quicker than Winnie's vendor, so you just have to, again, we're all here to help each other, okay? It doesn't have to be like, well, that's not my job, that's not my role,
That's a
not
bad
my place,
attitude.
Again, think about your client and what you can do to help your client. And if doing the other person's job or reaching out to somebody else for that person helps your client, then you do it,
This is a really new area for me, when you have inspectors, bankers, all this stuff.
Go to coffee with them.
Yep.
Start.
Go
ask
visit.
us.
Take
Yep,
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talk to people that you meet in the office and just be like, hey, I'm looking for an electrician.
Take
Who
a
do you
dozen
use?
donuts or something. If you don't have a banker, go visit different lenders, and just get to know the people in their office.
But I would take
Yeah.
recommendations, Ed, from other agents.
Yeah.
Yeah, quicker, maybe they'll go in real quick.
I mean, like the Monteith team or the Hudson team or the Tim West team. I mean, I'm sure they've got tons of recommendations for different vendors or.
Yeah, but I think a warm introduction always helps. So if you called me and said, hey, Rachel, I've got to have a lender, maybe I've got a client that's doing a physician, and they need a physician lender.
Do a
You have
three-way
lender in town
text.
that does that. Then I'm going to put you on a 3-way text with Shannon McDaniel at Pinnacle and be like, Shannon, this is Ed. He's a colleague of mine at Keller Williams. He's got a client that's looking for this. Please
That
connect
way
with
you
him.
can see when Shannon responds to you.
And you have special lenders for doctors? Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, you've got the doctor companies,
Absolutely. Let us know. We'll put you in contact.
Yeah, there's special loans even for physicians.
didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm. They can get 100% financing.
Because all their student loans.
Yes.
Take responsibility. That goes back, even to the conversation that we were just having. If there is an issue or, whatever has cropped up, you've got to be the one to stand up and take responsibility and figure out the solution for your client and their family. So that goes back a lot to what Rachel was even saying about finding the resource to figure it out. We all make mistakes. It's going to happen. Willingness to take ownership. So, don't duck and hide from an issue. Take ownership, figure it out. If you make a mistake, hey, raise your hand. We all do it. No, I don't think anybody in this room's walked on water. I know I haven't. So just own
Yeah.
up to it.
And don't be that agent who's great while things are going great, and then when things are not going great, you can't get a hold of them at all. Do not be that agent, okay? I don't care if you're working with an agent that, don't pick up bad habits, even from agents that have been in this business 30 years. Just don't, Just because you've been in the business 30 years doesn't mean you're any better than anybody that's been in
That's
for 3
right.
years.
You've had longer time to create a bad habit.
So,
Number 8, promptly answer text, phone calls, and emails. Agents leave their colleagues or clients hanging more often than you think. Always be available to help answer questions, etc. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so a conversation that I see happening often.
Mm-hmm.
What is too early or too late to send a text or a phone call or email?
For a colleague or a client?
Either.
Well, okay, let's say that you do a 6 a.m. text, or a 5 a.m. text. Everybody has different lifestyles. Somebody's a night owl, they may be up or whatever. If you think it's too early or too late, but you feel the need to go ahead and get that information over, I would start off with, please don't feel like you have to respond now. However, when you get time to read this, we need to discuss or whatever. So I would give them, we all have options, right? They have the option to say, heck are you texting me at 11 o'clock? But you did say, please don't feel like you have to respond now. I mean, we do this.
Yeah, I think
we
that's
do
a,
it to
that's a good, yeah.
Francesca.
I would say if the sun's up, I mean, I don't want to text at 5:30 in the morning. So, but I mean, if it's 7:15 and I get a text from you, that doesn't bother me. I'm usually up. I'm usually getting my kid out the house for school, but I might not respond to you at 7:15. I might
Or I
drop
may
him
respond
off,
later.
or I might thumbs up and say I'll get back with you in a little bit. I might and drop him off and then call you back or text you back. So I don't think anything's too early. Now, I do have a lot of out-of-state investors. A lot of them are on the West Coast. I am not texting them at 6 a.m. my time. I am being very mindful of trying not to text them till
4-hour
10
difference.
a.m. here, after 10, I don't think they mind so much because I also recognize that they will sometimes text me at 7 o'clock their time, which is 10 o'clock or whatever it is here. So when you're setting boundaries with your clients, I think that's a conversation that you might just have a blanket boundary that you set with everybody where I just work 8 to 8 or whatever those times are, and your people understand that and they know they can't get a hold of you after 8. I think for me, I don't set that clear of boundaries. If I'm working an offer with one of you and we've got a 9:30 deadline or whatever, I don't really want to push it to 9:30, but if I have to because my client worked till 8.
Reach out and let them know. It's not
yeah.
that we're just waiting to the last second to respond just to make your person upset. Let them know. I've done that 1,000 times. Look, I am not going to be able to respond by this time when they first give me the offer. I just want you to know right now, it's not going to be responded because I cannot get my guy until he gets off work at 5 o'clock or whatever. Do you mind rewriting this? There again, going back to communication. But, let them know what the response time is going to be.
But I think it's situational. Like, I've got a local investor who bought 12 houses for me last year. I am going to answer Dwayne's call if I can, anytime I can. I don't care if he calls me at 1:30 in the morning. Obviously, at 1:30 in the morning, something is wrong, not real estate related. Because after working with somebody for that long, you know them personally,
Mm-hmm.
So that type of client, I'm going to bend over backward to answer it. But he is so respectful of me. And he knows I'm busy. And so he will always put on the text, hey, I know you're busy. He always starts with that. Hey, I know you're busy, but can you get back with me or can you call me or whatever,
Give them a time frame of when you'll get back. Here's another good thing. I'm sorry, I cut you right off. Another good thing, if you know you're going to be busy, maybe that day, Charlotte taught me this, maybe that day you change your voicemail. Listen, I am not going to be responsive until 5 p.m. I will return calls between 5 and 8. I'm so sorry. This is what I've got going on today or whatever. Change your voicemail up. Just that way you've communicated that up front. So if they do listen to your voicemail, they'll at least know that you will get back to them at this time.
That's a really good thing to do, but also take it off because I've run into people that have voicemail.
Yeah, I'm never going to remember to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, more people text me than they call me. So, and then you got to think about social media too, because I communicate with a lot of clients on Messenger and Instagram, just out-of-state clients. So I think there's no time frame on that. If you want to respond at 3 in the morning, who cares? It's Messenger, it's Instagram. They're going to see it when they see it, But I do think you've got to decide your boundaries in your life, you know, and that there's some agents that are like, there are some agents where they're like, if I get an offer on Friday, I'm not responding until Monday.
They'll put it in agent notes.
It's clear.
That's something else. Read your agent notes, guys.
Yeah.
They're in there for a reason.
There too.
Just read them.
Does that answer your question? Okay. Number 9, under promise and over deliver. I think that's self-explanatory. Don't boast or over promise to your clients because if you fail to meet their expectations, it will create an adverse experience for everyone involved. okay? So I mean, again, you know, we've all got to know our limits. I'm a very much a yes person. I say yes way too much and take on way more than I need to, but that is just who I am. And so I have to apologize a lot, not because I don't get the job done, but just because I might say, hey, I'll call you by 5, but then it might be 7. But I am texting them to let them know, hey, my
It's
appointments
gonna
are
be
running
7.
over. It's going to be 7. Is that too late? You know, or if I tell a client, I will get back with you by tonight. Tonight, to me, I might be pulling in my driveway at 9:45, you know? So I tell my clients know I work 7 days a week, so I don't have a lot of boundaries, y'all. But they know that if I tell them I'm going to get back with them by tonight, I will. And I will do like Wendi said, and I'll be like, I am so sorry to be sending this text at 10 o'clock, but I did tell you I would get back with you, and here's the answer to this question, you know? I think so.
It all goes back to number one, communication. And I think it's super important to have those conversations from the very, you know, right out of the gate with your clients. So, be clear. I mean, your buyer or seller may not want text. They may think that you're avoiding conversation with them. So if they're on the phone type person, okay, look, Mr. Smith, I'm going to be communicating with you by phone because that's your preference. However, just know that it may be 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it's best for me. So it's there again, communication up front, figure out what's the best way to communicate. Some people don't want to talk to you. They don't want to hear your voice on the phone. They would rather just clickety-clack, and text. So figure out what that looks like. Provide constructive feedback after showings. Be honest and get specific. Give suggestions and recommendations. Offer pricing feedback. Consider time frame. I've had a hard time with this a lot with agents. I know agents are busy, and when things were selling so quickly, we probably didn't give a lot of feedback. We got in a nasty habit. But like I had a showing on one of my listings on Saturday. I've requested it through Broker Bay. I've called the agent. I've shot a text to the agent. And on my text, I was like, look, obviously you're not bringing an offer, and that's fine, but I would love to hear what your folks thought about it. Could you just give me the negative feedback, please? Bring me that negative energy. I want to hear it. And still, that was just this morning that I did that. I don't know, maybe they responded. But always, I get so many times with feedback, is your client interested? No, no, no. Okay, or yes, but then they don't give any kind of comments. Those sellers open their home to you all to bring your clients through. The least you can do is give them a little bit of detail. And be positive in your criticism. If it smells like, dog or whatever, don't just, the house stunk, it smelled like dog. Okay, well, we had a distinctive pet odor that maybe you want to talk to your seller about. Maybe they don't realize it because they live there, and it's not something that they realize that they've got that odor. I mean, I had one in Hamilton on Hunter, and the dog lived in there for 19 years. So yes, it smelled like dog. And they were like, well, we don't smell it. He even brought his mother-in-law, who's Miss White Glove, and she's like, I really don't smell it. I had one of those ozone machines. And I mean, I still kept getting feedback. I'm like, okay, I realize you all don't, but it's out there because it's on our feedback. So we need to address it. But be kind with your feedback, but give some detail to people so that they can go back. That agent may really love the fact that if you said, they may have chosen this, but we feel like it's really overpriced. Well, your feedback can be presented to that seller. It may help that listing agent in a conversation. Look, the market's saying it's overpriced. They don't feel like you're the one that's just saying, look, we've got to reduce this thing. You're not going to get what you want out of it. It's this agent said it's overpriced. This agent thinks it's overpriced. This agent thinks it's so everybody's buying your competition around you. So give feedback to agents.
Really have anything else to say. I think we all should strive to do this. I am not good at this. I will text you, but I am not always going to fill out your automated broker bay. So, but if I've got an offer coming, if I've got somebody with questions, if I've got some feedback that I think you really need to hear, you're going to probably get a text from me. That's probably not what everybody wants. So I do need to strive to do better at this. I also think, going back to the point of, as the listing agent, if I'm reaching out to Chrissy before she shows my listing and I tell her all these things, I think Chrissy is going to be much more open to giving me feedback because I did my part in really helping her navigate through that showing.
Right.
So I do think, again, it all comes back to good communication, you know.
And it may be easier for you to just, have a text message. I don't mind text feedback because I can copy, paste it, and then have the conversation, send it on. It doesn't have to be the broker bay form, just some kind of feedback. And a lot of times, if they're not in the car with me and I jump back in the car after a showing, I'll go ahead and text up, talk. Then I have to make sure that it's what I really said, but do it right after I leave the house while it's still fresh on my mind.
Because I don't know if you guys know, but I do a lot of showing for these ladies. So when I'm doing the showing, I'm asking the buyers questions. Hey, what do you think? How does this look? What do you like? What do you dislike? So that one, I can get that back to them, and they can give it to the sellers, and then they can also have that conversation with the buyers. Because now, okay, I know you do like this, but you said you liked it, but when you saw it, you really didn't like it. So that's all information that we can use as agents because it makes us better and our communication.
Yeah, and Winnie's really good about asking detailed questions and getting feedback. I've
Winnie
run
is an
into her.
excellent showing partner. So good.
Okay, rule 11.
That's okay. No worries.
Don't try to sweep defects under the rug. If you're aware of defects in the home, you must reveal them. We all know this. Disclose, disclose, disclose. These problems are further complicated if it is then immediately back on the market without disclosing issues discovered during the previous inspection.
I think it is.
Yeah. Number 12, read broker remarks and instructions before scheduling and showing. By doing your research, you don't have problems gaining access to the property. You can avoid hassle listing agents or sellers.
Yeah, and I think like I had a conversation with a new agent the other day because he called and he was like, hey, do you have a survey? And hey, do you have this? And hey, do you have that? And I was like, yes, I do. I said, have you looked under documents? And he was like, I didn't even know that, that's where that would be. So y'all, we've all got to understand everybody gets different training. People only know what they know, So now he knows that there's a documents tab and that's where a lot of that information is. I wasn't snarky, I wasn't rude, I just kind of made it comical with him and he was like, this is fantastic. I was like, yes, you can just send all of that to your client from there, So not only do we need to read agent notes, because a lot of times there is some really good information in agent notes, like about pets or just about the property in general or whatever. The seller's going to be there because they're working from home. So all those things are things that I would want to know before I walk into the house, and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know the seller's going to be here. Well, it's black and white in agent notes, And then all of the information that your clients might want, the disclosure, septic permit, whatever information, go ahead and have reviewed that, before you walk in, so that you can answer some of those questions for them.
Well, there again, that goes back to you could call the agent prior to the showing and say, hey, just so you know, this 9.81 acres, if your folks are figuring out, where the property is, it's completely staked, but go to documents because we've got a plat online. So give them that information up front. That way they've got all the information before they meet their client there to show the property. It helps that agent look good because they've like, oh, wow, this buyer's agent's really done their homework, So provide as much as you can to help.
Yeah, and as a listing agent, if you keep getting the same requests for information, just go ahead and send that when you first see somebody showing it. Like I use Landglide. I love that land app. So when I have a property with acreage, I have a property right now where they recently subdivided it, so it's not showing on tax records yet. So, and the survey, I'm waiting on it from Bradley County because my client doesn't have a copy. So I have just shown them on Landglide. I've just screenshot that to the buyer's agents as they're setting showings and being like, please understand, it reflects correctly on the MLS. It's 1.5 acres. On tax records, you're going to see it as 3. On other sites, you're going to see it as 3. But here's Landglide where it already shows that it's been subdivided. So Landglide, like
Glide.
It is fantastic.
And
Yeah.
I've got the same one with the property I've got on Chad Road. It's 9.81 acres, but the way the property taxes show it, it's almost like a horseshoe around this other acre. Well, when my client bought the property, he didn't even realize that that was his acre too. He reached out to try to buy it, and they're like, well, you already own it. So, you know, it's a different layout. So any information I give for that property, I'm going to let them know, hey, this little chunk right here, this one little acre is part of it. So all the information, accurate information you can give to someone and provide before they show the property, I think is it's going to help you maybe get more interest because there's a question that they may not have even known to ask. Well, they've already got the answer before they ask it.
Question for you, on that one, when you pull up the app, so I've been using the new grid. I don't know that one yet. So I haven't heard of this one, but when I pull up the new grid, and as I'm walking, it shows me where I am. So this is where it's-
I think you can do a trial on it before you have to start paying for it, so you might download it and compare it to what you have and see if it's better or the same. Yeah, I think a land app is crucial because I'm sure all of us are going to show a house that's got more than just a subdivision lot at some point or land, and my clients know I have this, so they're like, Rachel, let's go walk the property. Show me. Now, again, I preface with y'all, this is not a survey, okay? This is an app, and for the most part, it should be correct unless they've recently done some type of subdividing. But if I'm looking at my Landglide app and it's saying 1.5, and the MLS description is saying 1.5, and it's matching up with everything else I'm seeing, then it's probably pretty accurate. But I let them know this is not a survey, you know. So to be completely accurate, you know, you need to get a survey. But this is what I'm seeing, you know. But yeah, I love it.
And we get
Yeah.
questions all the time, you know, like how far back does this lot go? Okay, the fence may be right here, yeah, or what are they going to develop? What's behind it or whatever? The fence may be right here, but their property line actually goes back another 50 feet.
Yeah.
You know, so
And don't you ever say that they're not going to ever develop that property. You have no
you
idea.
have no idea. That's right. And don't assume, oh, well, I'm sure it goes further past this fence. Well, get the information as accurate as you can. Don't throw out something that you don't know.
And don't go by the way things are mowed, because there's a property that I showed in Crystal Brook where it looked like where the playground and everything was on the property was on the lot, but it actually wasn't. There was another piece of property that wrapped around, and there was a clearing on the edge of it that you would have kind of thought belonged to this yard. And I'm sure they can use it. I'm sure the owner of that property knows that whoever owns that house probably utilizes that space, but you did not own it, you know.
Yeah.
So you just want to really make sure that, you know, boundary lines match up.
Right. Leave a home the way you found it. I've had agents, and I don't feel like they did it intentional, but I had sellers come back that were like, oh my gosh, our back door was completely just wide open. Always go back and check. You get in conversations with people, and it may be a basement, and you went out the door, you came back in, and then you ended up upstairs in discussions. You forgot to go back and shut the door. Just be mindful. I always turn off lights after, because I don't want the buyer to feel like, oh, she's flipping every light switch off as we leave the room. You know, I always wait, go back through, check every door, then go back and turn the lights out so that they don't feel rushed, you know, that she's flipping lights off as we go. Just go, you know, leave the home the way that, of course, I don't. I've left glasses and everything else in people's houses. I had one agent say, Wendi, you're the only one that showed this today. Are you missing some glasses? I'm like, yes, but I took the seller's glasses. Don't know how I did that. I was like, okay, these aren't mine.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I think that's pretty clear, y'all. And the only thing that I would caution you is most people do not lock their door from the garage into their
Yes.
house. Okay, do not lock that door. Even if you're questioning, was that door locked?
If you have a
Leave it
listing
unlocked
and they
because-
don't want that locked, put a sticky note.
Yeah, but even if you don't do a sticky note, just, either call the agent if you're unsure or just leave it unlocked, because I can't tell you the number of times, and I'm sure we're all there.
Had to
where
go
a seller
back and
has
let 'em
called me and
in.
been like, Rachel, I can't get in my house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like 30 minutes away, or I'm showing, or I'm at a ball game or whatever, and so I'm calling Winnie, and be like, Winnie, I'll pay you. I need you to go let my seller in like ASAP, or Shirley. I mean, so, just be very mindful not to lock that particular door.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I do have one question about that. I've had a handful of properties where I'm showing a family, a house, and one family, and they're a great family, I love them, don't get me wrong. But she had 4 children under the age of 8 with her. So how do you handle the children playing with other children's clothes, not clothes, toys, taking them out of place, and on the couches and the chairs? I mean, what's a mindful way to?
You just so hope that parents are just aware of things
Yeah.
like that, right? You just hope that parents teach their kids, don't touch other people's things. I don't know. I would probably just let them know that, maybe just let them know that the listing agent has just said, that, to not be, playing with, there's collectibles, there's things, special things in certain rooms. I don't know. I think you're just going to have to take that case by case. But yeah, I would just
It
try
can-
to,
it
or
can
maybe
get
you even say
touchy.
to the child, because what I find happening is like parents go this way, or wife goes this way, or husband goes this way,
And then the
kid-
child-
kid runs to the bonus room or the playroom or whatever. So sometimes you have to just kind of like, okay, we're all going this way.
They're not watching little Johnny. I mean, I've sometimes watched the child myself because I'm like, holy cow, he's going to fall down these stairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
I don't have a.
To be better.
Huh?
Hopefully with school back, you can do your job.
Yeah.
And then you can,
Yeah.
schedule her while they're in school and then it's just.
Yeah.
They've already bought a house there.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was just curious because
You have to tread on that very lightly, because
Yeah.
everybody parents differently, and
I may
Yes.
go like take the toy and put it back myself, and then once I've done that a couple of times, then little Johnny's not wearing the Cinderella dress or whatever else. That has happened. Yeah, he got into the dress up bag, and next thing I know, little boy's standing there with his wig and his.
I think the other thing during your list, I was going to say, as a listing agent, I think when I go through a house and I see things like that, or I see a lot of collectibles or a lot of things just out. Now, I do have our stager go through, and she talks about a lot of this too.
Take 'em,
But I
take 'em,
think
put
you
'em
do
up.
have to tell your sellers, listen, you're going to have a lot of people possibly through this house, kids, all ages, And so if you've got a playroom and the toys are just there, I think that you have to let the seller know, hey, if there is anything in this playroom that you're worried about getting broken or whatever, I would probably put it up for all showings, because
Right.
sometimes it's hard to keep little hands off of things, even when parents are saying don't touch, even when I'm trying to corral into another room, So I think as a listing agent, we should be very mindful of that and explain that to our clients.
All their prescription
So,
drugs,
so
their
that it makes
guns,
it easier for
everything
you when you
goes.
show,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just say, okay, sweetie, let's go this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there was 4.
I know. Yes. We've all been there, Anita. We've all been there. And we'll continue to be there, I hope. So,
Contact listing agents about problems with a property. If you uncover an issue with a property, reach out directly to the listing agent about it as soon as possible. You go show a property, next thing you know, there's a water heater, or, something's not working, the AC is super, super hot in there, whatever. If you do see something that looks like it could be an issue, definitely reach out, because that agent may not know. Their people may be out of town. Those people want to know what's going on. If you find out that it looks like something's been tampered with, I would definitely give them a call.
yeah. It's just being considerate, y'all. I mean, like
Yeah.
I showed an investment property the other day. My client wanted to look in the attic. We got the attic stairs down just fine. We could not get them back up. Like, we all three tried to get the attic stairs folded and back up. So I just called the listing agent. I'm like, listen, I don't know when you're gonna be back over here, but like, we've all tried to get the attic stairs up. We can't, okay? So don't not tell them that, okay? Because, and then, you know, things like, I can't get a back door locked. You know, it's a weird lock. Sometimes you have to lift the handle and all these other kind of things. So things like that. I mean, just let the other agent know. If you walk in, there's water all over the floor because the refrigerator's leaked or whatever, or there's like we had a house on Signal, Kristen Porter and I do, where the AC is up in the ceiling in the attic on the second floor, and a buyer went through the other day, and all the sheetrock, because it's leaked, and nobody had been up there in the last 3 or 4 days, and so the sheetrock's down, the carpet's soaked, it's gone down into the kitchen, so, you know, she called me right away, and we had Serve Pro out there in 24 hours. So just, again, be mindful. This is somebody's home, especially if it's vacant, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know when somebody's gonna come check on it. So, Chrissy, you said,
I was just gonna say, I walked into a property and we walked into the bathroom, and the bathroom was completely flooded. And so we called and I was like, ooh, I'm standing in a puddle. So,
yes,
we called
yes.
right away.
Yes, we all appreciate that. You would appreciate that too, if it was your home or your listing, you know, so yeah.
Oh, I've done
Hey,
that.
I've done that. I've
Latoya.
dropped it through the deck, you know, like where the.
And then I couldn't get
like,
it.
Oh my gosh, like I've crawled under a deck to get a key.
Luckily, they had another key, they had a lock,
Yeah,
combination lock on the back door.
Yeah.
And I actually went and got another key later.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, I've gone through a back window before off a deck.
If you
yeah,
see-
so,
yeah.
listen, I have probably done it all, so.
If you see that there could be an issue with something, this happened to me once, and I was down in the backwoods of Georgia. I mean, no cell service, all the things. Like, I don't even know where I was. And I had thank goodness it was my sister-in-law. We were looking for a property that had acreage for her, what do you call it, 501(c) or whatever. When we walked out the back door to look at the back deck and the property and stuff, the door automatically shut and locked. We were on a very high deck, and there were no stairs. We were stuck out there, no cell phone service,
Oh my gosh.
nothing. Jan had her phone finally picked up one bar. I had the agent, I called the agent, she said, that's happened to me, there is a key hidden out there. I thought, Lord, we're gonna be out here forever, stuck on this deck. I'm not jumping. I mean, it was a 30-foot drop, you know, it was hot, it was horrible. So if you know that there's some kind of like, something could happen with one of your listings, give that agent a heads up.
Yeah, last story on that. I walked into a house the other day out in Ringgold. This was just like 2 weeks ago. And of course, you read all the remarks and you're like, gosh, this place sounds amazing. You know, it's going to sell quick, blah, blah, you know, all the things that agents say, you know. So we walk in and I'm like, are we at the right house? I'm like, because, you know, of course, the house online was furniture, all of that. We walk in and it kind of looks like they're halfway moving out. I have never seen, I've looked at some bad houses. I have never seen carpet so nasty. I mean, just nasty, nasty.
You should have gone to my Hamilton
And,
on Hunter
I mean,
House.
like no, it wasn't spray painted. The bed, you know, you saw the bed outline, but like this is like black. Like, I don't know how you got your carpet that dirty. I mean, it was just a nasty, nasty house. So I called the listing agent when I get done, and I know the listing agent, and I told him, I said, listen, I said, have you been out there lately? And he was like, no, he was like, no, why? And I was like, I said, are they in the process of moving out? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. I said, you have got to get out there and look at this house. I said, it's horrible. I said, it's horrible, you know? And again, I know this agent, so I can be brutally honest, but I'm like, it's not at all what your remarks say or what your pictures say. And I said, and I think you need to give agents a heads up before they walk in, because I said, my clients and I were shocked at the overall condition of this house. You know, it does not reflect, it's not reflected in the price. No. So I said, and he's like, all right, I'll be out there tomorrow. You know, he had no idea, you know? So, because when he listed it, full of furniture, rugs were everywhere, okay?
He didn't know.
And now that rugs are up, because I guess rugs were covering things and furniture is mostly out, oh my gosh, y'all, it was awful. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all my story.
I walked into one time, it was in Hickson up on Big Ridge, and they had pretty much moved out, but they didn't get all of their stuff. And I walked in the front door, and it was a real live stuffed wolf. And as short as I am, it was looking at me eye to eye. And I was like, holy cow, it wasn't just a dog, it was a wolf. They had killed it and stuffed it. Yeah.
Yes, and tell
Let people know
your
what to
agents
expect.
that when they're showing, if they have anything weird in aquariums, like snakes, tarantulas, just anything that's just weird, and I'm sorry, it might not be weird to y'all, but anything that's a little unusual, that you don't see in every house that
Flying
you show.
squirrels.
Something, just be mindful, and just by the way, when you go in the kids' room upstairs, it's going to be like, aquariums all over the walls with snakes or whatever, just so that nobody screams, we prepare each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be fair when there are multiple offers. Give other agents a time frame to submit their highest and best offers. Notify all agents of being in multiple offers and be honest. We're not seeing this as much now, but oh my word, when it was in that market, right? So I think it's really good practice to have the conversation with your listings or your sellers rather. Look, this house is probably going to get multiple offers. Go ahead and have that conversation up front. Are you going to be the person that calls for highest and best? Or if we get 10 offers, are you going to figure out, or I'm going to figure out for you, which one is going to net you the most, or which one is going to be the best situation? Just because it nets them the most, it may not be the best offer, right? Because of concessions or anything else. But find that out first, and then be honest with all agents. Look, we will be calling for highest and best, or we won't. So make sure that you get your offer in by 5 o'clock this time, because he's going to pick one and go with it. So I would have those conversations with your sellers up front in a property that you think is going to get multiple offers. I think the highest I got in multiple offer, I had 14. It was a house up here in Ottawa and Robinson. That was the most offers I got on a property, but 14 net sheets working out. And they're all, it got to the point, it was like they were so close. Even what they were asking for, what they were offering, their escalation clauses, all that kind of stuff. So be totally honest with the agent because it's a lot of work when you're out there and that they're going to be in a multiple offer situation and you're trying your best. It may have been the 14th house that they've offered on and they're frustrated. Try to get all the information you can, and you as the listing agent, be totally honest with that agent, because that agent's worked their tail off to get to that point to bring you an offer.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I would also say that when you're sending out rejections, what I typically do is I just write up a text message and I just copy and paste that text to every agent that did not get the offer. I thank them for the offer. I let them know maybe why the offer didn't get chosen, because of this, and this, that they can share that with their clients, and maybe they can change those terms the next go around, And the other thing is just understand that just because a listing agent tells you there's multiple offers, it is not an automatic highest and best situation. Okay.
No.
So as an agent, don't think because I have multiple offers that I'm going to give you the opportunity to bring me highest and best.
It's not always that.
It's not a given. So, because I had an agent that called me out on that one time and called the association about how I didn't handle it the right way because I didn't call for best and highest. And I told her, you're not required to call for best and highest. It's the seller's
That's the
decision.
seller's choice.
So anyway, so just know that, but when you're in a multiple offer situation, stay in close communication with your listing agent. If you, for example, if you don't know that a best and highest is being called, but that there are multiple offers on the table and there's a 9 o'clock deadline and you feel like your client hasn't brought the best offer and you've disclosed the situation to your client, if they say to you, well, hey, I want to revise my offer, revise it. Don't wait on the listing agent to call for best and highest because you might not get that chance. Go ahead and revise that offer, get it in before that 9 o'clock deadline.
Yeah, because sometimes, just from my experience of submitting the offers as a buyer's agent primarily, a lot of times the most important thing is maybe an occupancy. And maybe, one buyer doesn't, or one potential buyer doesn't want to charge them rent. So maybe one won't, maybe.
Good points, Anita. Yeah. Yeah.
I knew that we offered the highest and best, and the listing agent told us that we did. We went 10,000 over asking because the buyer really wanted the house. But they accepted an offer from a veteran because they wanted to help the veteran.
Yeah. It's not always the highest price.
Yes.
It's not.
So my buyer was upset, and I'm like, but they get to choose.
Yeah. It's their choice. It is
Yeah.
always the seller's choice, yeah.
I know you really wanted the house, but you get to choose.
Yeah, yeah. But I think those are all good points. And as a buyer's agent, because we're kind of out of that market now. I mean, we are still seeing some multiple offers, but, reach out to your listing agent and ask, hey, what is a win-win for your seller? Like, what are the most important terms outside of price for this seller? Is it occupancy? Is it renting back at no charge? Is it because they're
Extended
building?
closing.
Yeah, just whatever.
I need to close in 20 days.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Just whatever that is.
One thing big for me is when you're submitting an offer, let the listing agent know.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Hey, give a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get millions of emails a day. Just because you send me an offer doesn't mean I'm sending it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
always text them and say, please respond that you've received
I
it.
would take that point with all communication with documents. If you send a repair proposal, if anything you send document-wise to somebody by email, send them a text and say, hey, I've sent you the repair amendment. I've sent you whatever. Even my clients on our consults, I will tell them, I am the worst with email. I will sometimes check it in the morning. I will be gone all day on appointments. I will not see it till 10 o'clock that night. If you email me, that's fine. But text me, if you don't mind, and let me know that you sent me an email, because I don't want to miss it,
Right.
I mean, I am the worst with email. I mean, we get
I don't know.
hundreds
I'm
of
pretty
emails
bad.
a day. So again, if you email somebody, if you email a termination, call that agent, text that agent and say, hey, I've sent you a termination. Here is why, So yeah, don't just send something and assume they receive it, okay?
And I think that goes back to the communication too. Don't just send them a rejection or a termination without having a conversation as to why. If they pretty much expect that they're going to get rejected, let's say you get just a super low offer. Like I got one on, I think it was like $360 and they came in at like $295. And I reached out and I said, is this a typo or, why did they come in so low? Or what are your thoughts? And I came in with a positive attitude, with a joke, like, hey, did you like typo error here? And but anyway, always explain why things were not accepted or why they came in with all these different repairs. If somebody sends me even like a repair proposal and there's a list of 20 things and they've had to, go to page 2, look, we may not address all of this stuff, so what is most important to Mr. Buyer? It just goes back to communication. All right, my back's hurting, you're gonna have to read that one.
Okay, we've already talked about this too.
Okay.
So, Rule 17, I think this is the last one. Be professional on social media. Just remember that this is your business. Your social media presence online is a large factor, and represent yourself and Keller Williams well. So, I think we've all talked about social media. We all know, what we should put out there, what we shouldn't put out there, so, yeah, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
beat a dead horse on that.
Be modest.
Questions that y'all have, any situations you've had, anything off the topic of best practices, just anything we can help you with?
No
Okay, well,
questions?
we're here to
Hey, we
help.
do, wait. We do have some stuff here that we can share with you all. I'm not one to sit long.
You said earlier you sent out like a voice memo to buyers agents and whatnot, and with the commission, you said we sent a link and whatnot. I was gonna say, can I just take a look and see what that looks like?
Mhm.
I've been kind of pondering how am I gonna share this.
Yeah, Francesca did that for us.